case of losing her husband of 19 years, Rosemary, who's 44 years old, found herself sleeping around with random people while sinking further into depression. Widowhood, or losing a spouse, can trigger hypersexuality, which is a form of sexual addiction or having excessive sexual urges. So why does this phenomenon occur? After losing her husband of 40 years, Dr. Alice Radosh, who is a neurobiologist, decided to dig deeper into the topic of sexual bereavement during widowhood. And she's the one who coined the term sexual bereavement. In her research findings, she found that this topic is not a topic that is talked about openly by people. Society does not want to engage in this topic, and widows don't know what to do when they lose their spouse and they lose an intimate sex life. So it becomes disenfranchised grief, grief that has not been managed or identified. Losing a sex life indeed requires mourning and acknowledging it so that you can find the right solutions. So Dr. Alice Radosh brought into the limelight this topic of sexual bereavement. And when that pain of losing that intimate life with a spouse, that pain becomes disenfranchised grief if it is not handled properly. So what are the downfalls or the pitfalls of disenfranchised grief? This is what leads to hypersexuality, which comes as a form of promiscuity. It can also lead to depression, anxiety, ailments, unexplained aches and pains. This is what pain that is not explained does to your heart. And when somebody loses a spouse, of course, they have to acknowledge that they lost an intimate part of their lives. And this form of grief needs to be identified. Then a person becomes aware about this grief. Then they are able to find the right solutions. One of the things is to talk to a qualified counselor if you cannot handle it by yourself. Look at the intimate places where you need healing, and a counselor can help you do that. Then you need to have a plan for your life, more specifically for your sex life. Do you want to get married again? Do you want a mutual friendship where you can have an intimate relationship with somebody you respect? Do you want to stay without marriage? What do you want for your life? You need to have a good plan so that you avoid the pitfalls, so that you can protect yourself. It's not just risky physically when you randomly sleep with people. It can also be hurtful emotionally because you're used to a stable relationship as a married person for many years before the death of your spouse. You are used to some form of stability, and it's very hard to change what you're used to. So you need to have a clear plan of what you want after you have identified the disenfranchised grief and found a way to manage it. Then you can move forward and understand what you're going through.